Hello and welcome back to JumpChat. This is a very exciting episode. It goes against the norm of the episode so far. It's not about a specific film we've seen. It's about probably the most eagerly anticipated trailer we've watched in many, many, many years, which is, of course, the brand new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer that has already blown the internet wide open with obsessions and screen caps and all sorts. And I've been joined today by two Spider-Man fanatics like myself to talk about all things No Way Home. So firstly, a big welcome to Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Oh, mate, I've been thinking about this all day. I'm ready. I'm ready.
We've got a little kind of Avengers group chat for like Marvel stuff, and it's just been popping off for the last, how long? Weeks, I would say.
Oh, yeah, for the last couple of weeks, and then last night, it's like, the trailers move that way?
They do. Trailers move differently when you watch them at 3 o'clock in the morning. And also joining us today is another one of our Spider-Man superfans. It is Tom. Hello, Tom.
Hey. I'm still pretty tired after my body waking me up, but I'm glad it did.
Yeah, that was so weird. Like you woke up at like 2:24 and the trailer dropped like 5 minutes later. Like it was so weird.
My body knew what to do.
Yeah, your body kind of knew and was like, Tom, you're gonna want to see this, mate. You're gonna want to watch this. Because so for us in the UK, it dropped at near enough 3 o'clock in the morning last night, and there were rumours all day about what time it would drop. Some said it was like midnight, other times it was 2, 3, whatever. But eventually it did, and it was not very fair on us UK fans, but it did drop, and it has blown us all away. Because obviously, if you've been aware of the news, it did leak a few days beforehand, which was, by the by. I know that lots of people might have watched it. I may not have watched it, maybe I did. I'm not going to confirm or deny that. But the full trailer is out there now. So firstly, I'll ask kind of Sam, you first of all. On a scale of 1 to Spider vibes, how much vibes have you got from this trailer?
Like, Spider vibes off the meter, mate. The fucking chain.
Yeah, Spider vibes.
Pure, unadulterated Spider vibes. Was there
Unfiltered.
anything that kind of really stuck out to you as being like, that is the bit for me? That's what I can't wait to see from this brand new trailer.
I think, like most people, it's got to be the last shot of the trailer. It's got to be ye old Otto Octavius rocking up once again from the Raimiverse. I think for a lot of people, it's been what they've wanted to see, just to get at least an inkling that universe exists in the MCU. So I think for me, that tipped it over the edge for me. Like, that made me ready for December. I could happily go without another trailer based off of that.
I think I could too. I think I've now seen what I wanted to see. I was always going to see it anyway, obviously. But the fact that it's given us just enough of a tease to think, yeah, these all things are happening, it's just so exciting. Even though I've seen the trailer now like 15, 20 times, and I have scrolled over every single frame of this video over the last day, I'm still really excited for it. I just can't. I love watching it again and again and again. Before we get into kind of Doc Ock and what that all means, Tom, where are you on the Spider Vibes level? What was your favourite kind of bit from the trailer?
Well, if my body waking me up at like 5 minutes before it came out, then I'm off the charts. All we've had for the past couple of years is rumours and people saying this and that, and even going as far as to asking like Andrew and Toby and everything, like trying to get them to confess. Mm-hmm. So it's, even though they're still not in the teaser, you kind of the hope is there now that we've seen Doc Ock and the teasers for Goblin and Electro and that. But I was saying to Sam yesterday, I think, and yourself, like, I wonder if we were just going to get a teaser of Ock at one point, until like Alfred Molina was like, no, yeah, I'm in Spider-Man. I'm in it. So they just thought, sod it, we'll just put him in the trailer. Because that shot with one of the tentacles like coming up and slamming into the ground, like even just seeing that, I think everyone would still be at this sort of level.
Absolutely.
Even if they didn't see him. Because we've seen like the teasers for Electro and Goblin and all that, and you can see how excited people are for that. So I think I think they were just like, well, everyone knows he's in it. We'll put him in it, and at least they've seen one of them then. But yeah, so Sam said that bit, but I think for me it's definitely good when the grenade starts rolling down and you can recognize it instantly. And when the trailer leaked, all I could see on my timeline was just like screenshots of that one grenade, and everyone was just losing it. So I think that's my favorite part. That and I'm still
sorry.
No, go on.
I was going to say, if you combine the rolling grenade with the Defoe laugh as well over the top of it, it's just
Still
But
got it.
chills.
There's also that line. I don't know if anyone's confirmed it or not, but the line where it says, "Be careful what you wish for, Parker."
Mm-hmm.
It sounds very Defoe, and everyone's saying, "Oh, it's probably Doctor Strange," but would does Doctor Strange call him Parker like that?
Well, that's the thing, right? On the topic of Doctor Strange, I've heard that line quite a few times. So I think that was one of the moments that I was like, who says that? Because it was deliberately kind of shown over nothing on screen. It was just a pure voiceover. I've heard it lots of times. I do think it is Doctor Strange. I think it's Cumberbatch because I think I can hear his like American fake accent, if that makes sense. However, having watched the trailer so many times, I think we're getting different versions of Strange in this film as well. Because I think if you watch, like, say, the train little kind of CGI action scene they've got when it looks like they're fighting, it looks like Strange is kind of some different version than the one that starts the film off in his lovely joggers and his parka and all that kind of stuff, which was just a great look, by the way. But I think we're going to meet not like an evil version, but a different one who needs to kind of maybe stop this Peter Parker doing what he's doing to save, his multiverse or his universe or something like that. I think we're going to get different versions of Doctor Strange, and that's who is saying the wish for line in the trailer. But that's just my theory.
Go on. You're allowed to say the V word.
The V word.
Or
variant. Yeah, he's a variant of Doctor Strange. Because haven't people kind of been analysing the hot toys as well that have come out? And the word variant has appeared quite a few times, haven't they?
Yeah, I won't say what characters have appeared in toys just for people don't want spoilers, but whatever they may be, the word instead of alternative or parallel, the word is variant. For these different versions of whatever characters that could appear in the film, which I think's an interesting spin on it. It's not what I expected them to go with. Yeah,
well, I think for those of us who have watched Loki, like me and Tom did an episode on Loki not too long ago, the word variant was obviously used a lot in that. And that does suggest that I think the Tom Holland Peter Parker is going to stay the main Peter Parker, and everyone else is kind of coming into our universe. So they're the different versions. So I think they're always going to stay as an other form, a variation of Peter Parker, I suppose. But yeah, it's all I like how they're building up this multiverse into this very complex thing, but by using these keywords like variant just to make it all very clear linguistically for the audience that when they're talking about it, they can use these kind of words. Yeah, I do like that.
It does make me wonder, just thinking about what we've seen in the trailer, because obviously you've got the Raimi Doc Ock and the tease of the Raimi Green Goblin, and then there's some yellow bolts as well, which is seemingly Jamie Foxx's Max Dillon Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man universe. So I'm wondering, are these villains the ones we've seen in the films before, or are they, for appearance's sake, those villains, but story-wise, maybe they've had kind of different outcomes that we've not anticipated?
That's a good point. So the Doc Ock that we see in this trailer maybe isn't the one that died at the end of Spider-Man 2. Spoilers for Spider-Man 2.
For the film that came out like 16 years ago.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, his Doc Ock might not be, the version that we've seen, because he does look a bit more evil. I know it's easy because he's wearing a dark jacket and dark sunglasses. But yeah, he could very, very easily just be a different version of Dr. Octopus rather than the one that we've seen before.
I just don't know what to think. It's like Alfred Molina Melina in his big mouth, like he won't shut up, and he just keeps talking about all different things to do with the film. And I'm pretty sure he said that his version of the character continues immediately after Spider-Man 2 when you see him submerged.
Oh, really?
Under the sun thing that he buries. But even saying that could still be a different universe, because if you think back to Endgame and I forget Tilda Swinton's character's name now, but obviously she talks about how the universe has all these different pathways and they have to be maintained. So that's why obviously they return the Infinity Stones to the different parts of the timeline. But what if it's the same case here with Spider-Man and we've got all these different things tearing the multiverse apart, like in literal time?
Oh, God, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
There is.
This is our new time travel movie, Rick.
Mate, we got it. Tenet with last year was just a brief inkling of time travel that's going to take over the world in the next couple of years. Just pure time travel nonsense. I can't wait for it. Tom, what do you think is going to be kind of the story of No Way Home? Where do you think it's going to take us?
I don't know, because I know obviously we see that all this is happening now. It's been revealed. So he's at the police station, and I'm sure there was like set photos of like the court. Court
case.
Because that's when they were.
Yeah.
That's when they were. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but that's when they were saying, this is where Matt Murdock could come in. But then obviously, everyone is now screen capping that one bit of the trailer and saying that could be him. But that's
just generic white man in a white shirt.
You've got to have hope.
That shot is on purpose. That shot was so on purpose to make people think that they know what they're doing. Marvel know exactly what they're doing when it comes to stuff like that. They tease a white man in a shirt with his sleeves rolled up. It's Matt Murdock.
And if you look at it, that shot as well, it's like deliberately cut off at the shoulders. Like they've clearly hidden something there.
Yeah. And then we'll probably get to the film and it'll be no one. It's just no one. But so then we obviously see, and then he goes to Strange for some reason. His I nearly said the Fortress of Solitude, then I don't know why. His sanctum is obviously, it's all covered in snow. I don't know if that's from when Hulk, sort of tumbles through the roof in is that in Infinity War?
Yeah.
But I don't know why they don't fix it if they're all magicians.
That's a good point. I thought about that. You said that, Sam, about that's why the snow is there. But I'm thinking this was ages ago, wasn't it?
Well, we don't know, do we?
There's been 5 years, since Infinity War, in canon.
In canon, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's poor, man. Maybe he doesn't want to use his magic to repair his roof.
Wong's got bigger things to worry about. He's been fighting Abomination and stuff. For all
That's
that.
why he's going to fight Abomination. He's got to make money so they can repair the roof.
I love that. Oh, that's gonna happen now.
That is the new headcanon for Doctor Strange, is that they have magic, but they need to afford the things to be able to use the magic. That's really good.
Paul Wong, man, in Infinity War, he's going to get him some food, and he's got $1. He says he's got $1.50.
That's a good point.
Come on now, man. What's Strange paying him?
Wong's off to Fight Club just to make some money.
Pays him in the Ben and Jerry's variants. That's what he's doing.
He's going to be furious about it, isn't he? Because he told him specifically, don't do the thing you're about to do. And Strange was like, nah, I'm going to do it.
And it was such a sarcastic response as well that he gives him.
It was. But then I think I've read a few different takes on that moment when Strange decides he's going to do this spell for Peter, where obviously in the trailer Peter asks him to make everyone forget that he's Spider-Man because it's caused him and his friends all of this sort of chaos. But then people aren't really in agreement of why Strange does that. Some say that Strange has always come across as a bit of a arrogant character in the MCU, that he kind of doesn't learn from his mistakes and he just does things that he thinks will work and that. So him doing this decision is in line with what he's done before. Whereas I've seen other people say, oh, maybe he's like a Skrull or something, or not actual Doctor Strange. I don't know. There's loads of things going on there. But my first thought was it was a bit out of character for Strange to make this major decision.
Again, I think for me, I think it is the arrogance thing. Like he thinks he's the smartest person, and someone says don't do it, it's too difficult. He's gonna go and do it and show him and prove him wrong, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then obviously he's gonna blame Peter for it because he's talking while he's doing it, and then you kind of then you see it all, the multiverse open up, and then you see him sort of flip, and he's like quite angry in that following bit. So I think he'll say, "Oh no, I could have done it. It was Peter's fault."
Yeah, because do you think the thing with that spell is that it's obviously very dangerous in terms of who is going to remember him? Do you think it's going to be a case of no one remembers who Peter Parker is when that spell gets cast? Or is it just going to be like the Avengers know, but no one else does? And I think that's going to impact things like his relationship with MJ, for example. I think those two are going to have a rocky time in this film because I think she's going to forget him in some way. And it's going to, he's got to try and win her back or try to make her remember again or something. I'm not sure. But I think that spell is going to have major consequences for Peter himself in that no one will know who he is rather than just... I think he's going to be completely alone after that point.
I feel like the spell will work within Tom Holland's universe, and then the other universes that he goes to, they'll recognise him as Spider-Man, but whether it's a case that they think he's another version of Spider-Man is something to be seen, because like Strange says in the trailer, like, oh, you've opened up this thing called the multiverse, which we know frighteningly little about. So it makes you think whether when he was casting the spell, he wasn't even aware of like the ramifications of like, okay, I'm erasing these events for this Peter Parker, but what happens to the others in the other universes? Yeah. It's like he doesn't even know, and that's kind of exciting in itself.
It is exciting. And I just had, while you were talking, and I had like an image of how they could bring one of them in, one of the alternate Spider-Men, if they turn up. Where like, what if he goes to a different New York by accident or something, and then he goes to like save some sort of woman from a car crash or whatever, and then she says, "Oh, your suit looks different," and then you realise like, "Oh my god, there's like a different Spider-Man here." Like that's how you meet up with Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield. Like the possibilities of where this film could take us is just so exciting.
Well, you scoured the trailer last night and you paused it on a frame that I didn't catch last night, where he's wearing this black and gold variant suit.
He did.
Whatever that is for, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Obviously my Spider-Man knowledge of like the comics is very limited, but from what I've heard online and read online is that black suit there isn't like a Venom suit or something like that, like in Spider-Man 3. It's more of a specific suit designed to work within different dimensions, is what I've heard. In that it's got kind of magical capabilities, but that's
I was
purely
thinking
hearsay.
like it was kind of like the Ox suit from the PS4 game where he built it. It's purpose built. Maybe he's built it to fight Electro or something like that.
Oh, maybe.
Because it looks like the tech, like on the tech string, because obviously we've seen the Hot Toys figure of that. That was the first toy that leaked.
Yeah.
It's got all these kind of like weird computer chippy type textures on the body of it. So maybe it's like so like electricity can pass through it.
It could be.
Interesting. As long as I'm not a big fan of this Iron Spider suit that he's got, and I'm hoping he doesn't have that a lot for the film. I know there's quite a few shots, but my hope is that because it's so easy to manipulate,
yeah. Well, they did that before, didn't they? I think with some other shots. I don't know if it was Infinity War or Far From Home, where they changed the suit in the trailer, and he was actually wearing something else in the clip in the film.
Yeah, I think it did. Didn't they add the wings in the actual? He has those kind of the web to help him kind of fly. They added that, I think, in the film rather than the trailer. But on the note of the Iron Spider suit, I brought this up last night. No one's kind of really bothered about it, but I think it's quite a major thing that he's wearing the Iron Spider suit in the trailer rather than his normal new red and black suit. Is it just a suit that he's got there because it's nanotech? He can put it on at any time, kind of on a whim. Yeah. Or is there a specific purpose for him wearing that? Is it to do with when the scene takes place? Is it what is going on there? Why has he got that suit on? That's really stuck with my brain. I'm not sure.
Well, you were saying last night until kind of got debunked until literally just before this podcast, because we'll get onto that in a sec.
Oh, yeah,
but
we will.
You thought it was like after, spoilers if you've not seen Endgame, Tony Stark's funeral. You thought he was wearing that suit, and we went through different frames trying to match it, but it wasn't quite there. But then, literally, just before we started recording, some keen-eyed fan on Twitter has seemingly put together that the suit Tom Holland's wearing it and that bridge is the same suit that Tobey Maguire wears just before he fights the new Goblin in Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm. And we've looked at the images ourselves in the chat now, and it's identical.
A good match.
It's the same kind of grey texture of a suit. It's got the same blue shirt, the same black tie. Like, it's frighteningly similar.
Like, even the knot on the tie is like, quite big, and it looks exactly like it.
Oh, could it?
It does. I know. So, well, let's broach this topic then. How confident are you both that we are going to see both Toby and Andrew Garfield back in this film?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
100%,
I think it's the worst kept secret in like cinema history in the last 2 years or so. They've got to be.
I mean, I think the hype around it is so big that it has to happen. And I think everything is pointing to, yes, it's going to happen. But what if it doesn't?
I think everyone's going to be immensely disappointed if it doesn't happen.
Because I do wonder if maybe kind of Marvel are thinking it's going to be enough that we've got Doc Ock and Green Goblin from previous films, and Electro, in according to rumors as well, that'll be enough to, like, Peter's got to fight these alternate dimension villains. But then I think, considering the amount of villains that are hinted at in this trailer, one Spider-Man, or at least this Spider-Man, who is still very young in his spider age, I suppose, he won't be able to fight all of those on his own. He is going to need some support. And I think getting Toby and Andrew back in to help him fight the potential Sinister Six would be very exciting.
You can't dip your toe into these universes and not go the full way. You've got to go the full way.
If you're gonna do the multiverse, you go big, don't you? You've got these guys back. You're gonna get everyone. You're gonna get.
Yeah. Do you think there's like, I'm obviously incredibly excited about this film. Do you think there's a potential that this might be a little bit too much? Is there going to be too much going on? Or do you think it's going to be kind of paced and pitched really, really well?
I do worry it will have like Spider-Man 3 / Amazing Spider-Man 2 syndrome, where they kind of set up a hell of a lot, and the film just can't quite deal with it. But I don't know, I feel like for the first time in a long time, like a Spider-Man film has got that kind of endgame kind of anticipation behind it, that level of hype. And I feel like if they're going to do all these big multiverse things, it's not going to be a short film.
No, definitely not. It's going to be 2.5 hours plus.
At least.
Yeah.
And
Does
I'm
it
all
go
for
the
it.
4-hour Snyder Cut thing? That's the question.
I mean, we can hope, but I doubt it. I don't think people will manage that in the cinema. There'll be loads of articles going like, oh, when can I go for a wee?
When can I pee? Yeah. I remember that for Endgame, bloody hell. That was a throwback. Tom, do you think that this film is doing too much, or do you think it's going to handle it?
I mean, it's John Watts returning into it, so he's done the other two Spider-Man films, and they've been good. They've been handled
brilliant.
really well. And I think with him behind it, and obviously with they're going to have loads of creatives behind it because of the impact it's going to have. I think I've got my trust in Marvel. I think, especially I mean we've seen how they've handled the bigger films, and you would hope that, like you say, they've handled it as if it were the end game, like they approached it in the same way. Because I mean, I don't know if there's any sort of official figures, but the trailer was doing absolute numbers last night, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, it was. It's done like 40 million on Twitter now.
Yeah, Twitter.
It's got 30 million on YouTube, like on the Sony channel, from what I can see on my screen right now. Like it has got everywhere. I think last night it had 2 million views in the first like half an hour of it being posted on Twitter. Like everyone was waiting for it. around the world. It was mad.
It's just the power of Spider-Man. Like, we all have his favorite superheroes and whatnot, but I think the gateway kind of superhero to all these kind of films and comics and stuff is always going to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There's something about the character that just has that really magnetic feel to it that everybody gets on board with. So I'm not surprised that it's doing like insane numbers.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the fact that he is, he's a teenager. Like, he's probably, maybe 16, 17 in Canada at this point. But, he then appeals to kids who are in school now. He appeals to us who were kind of grew up watching Spider-Man 2 when we were age 10, 11, 12 years old. He really does manage to transcend generations as a character because everyone can relate to him and everyone either wants to be him or wants to marry him or whatever, and it's just, he is the boy, and he's everyone's. I would say he's one of the most popular superheroes in history. Is that too big a claim to make?
Oh, that's not that's an understatement, I think.
You reckon?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got iconic, legendary superheroes like Superman. Like, I read something once that like the Superman symbol is the second most recognized symbol in the world, next to like the Jesus cross.
Really?
That's something I read, yeah. So I don't think it's an understatement that Spider-Man's up there in the pantheons of like iconic superheroes.
Yeah, I'd say he's definitely in the same ballpark as Superman, Batman, Spider-Man.
Oh, definitely.
I think those are the big three. I think. Oh, it's just there's so much you could talk about.
I do have one like question I want to ask you both. What would you want to see if the Spider-Man return or anything else? What do you want to see in the film? I think for me, obviously, like, it's a no-brainer. I want to see those two guys return, but musically, I want some kind of like medley of the Holland theme, the Elfman theme, and the Hans Zimmer like theme that he did as well at the beginning of that the main Spider-Man 2. I want a moment where it just showcases all these three Spider-Men.
Yeah, I think that's probably the same for me. Actually, is where there has to be some sort of big final battle that has all three of them fighting together. And if we can do like in the first Avengers, where there's like that one big long one take through New York where it goes to Iron Man, then to Hawkeye, then Thor, then Hulk, like all together. Like if we can have one big long swooping shot that has, like you say, a big medley soundtrack of, the Spider-Man theme mixed with Tom Holland's theme, mixed with Garfield's theme, mixed with Maguire's theme, like that would make that film worth it.
I've just got like an image in my head for some reason of like, how in Spider-Man films they use like the webs to slingshot themselves like from different points. Like what if Maguire and Garfield like webbed a slingshot between themselves and slingshot Tom Holland like, into a villain or something?
Well, I mean, that would be that would be like what, triple Spider-Man power. That would be incredible. A lot for someone to take in. Tom, that's a good question for Sandy there. Tom, what is one thing that you want to see happen in this film?
I'm gonna have to say this. I just love the three of them. I mean, I'm gathering it's probably not gonna be. They're not gonna be in it a lot, but the scenes they are in, I'd love some really cool shots of the three of them together, like you say, working together, shooting webs and. Like you say, like an Avengers style sort of like money shot with them swinging together, or just something, and then the score plays. I think that'd probably get like Portals level reaction from people. Someone there videoing a reaction. I can imagine people absolutely losing the shit. Or just some sort of like I said, the way they're going to introduce the characters. Like just thinking about the possibilities of him, like like Andrew Garfield just like rocking up. Like, is he just going to swing in? Are you just going to hear his voice first and then you see the back of his costume or something? There's so many exciting ways that they could just introduce.
You got me giddy.
Yeah, me too.
Because like I'm just thinking all these different versions of Spider-Man have different like personalities and takes on the character, and like Andrew Garfield's really like quippy and fast, and you can imagine him kind of playing off the other two, and Maguire's a bit more reserved and Tom Holland's a bit more naive. Like you've got all these different dynamics you can play with.
I can imagine Maguire would take on the role of being the leader, quote unquote, where he'll be the organizer.
The mentor.
Yeah. And then Garfield would be a bit of a wild, loose cannon, and I think Tom Holland will just be like deer in headlights. What the fuck is going on? Like, I can see it.
I think as well that with this opportunity, John Watts has got to recreate that meme of the 3 Spider-Men. It's
Point at each other, yeah.
It's even if they're not like directly like pointing at each other, like just them sort of stood in that position and maybe like just one finger at each other or something like that. Just
it's gonna happen.
It's got to. I mean, if you're gonna have them together, you've got to take that opportunity, haven't you? Really?
Yeah.
Come on, imagine how many people you're gonna make happy with like that 10-second shot or something.
I know. The amount of like phone backgrounds and laptop backgrounds that are going to come from this film is going to be insane.
You know, once it's like online in HD or Blu-ray or whatever, our Twitter headers will change to like our favourite like frames from the film and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's going to be screen capped forever. On a different coin from our heroes, obviously this trailer did allude to many villains as well, potentially up to 6 of them. I know there were 5 hinted at, definitely, and I'll mention the 6th in a second. So obviously we had Doc Ock and Green Goblin were the main ones. There's a lot of Lightning, which is from Electro, but then there were 2 others that I think are pretty much confirmed. I think there was definitely a Sandman in there. There was lots of sand in the trailer, and there was a lizard spotted in massive amounts of darkness. I think that was very deliberately dark, because I don't think it'll be that dark in the actual film, but they did want to keep the mystery alive at that point. Who do you think the 6th is going to be? Because I've got two theories of who it could be.
I mean, it might make more sense from what they're trying to set up with the newly renamed Spider-Man movie universe to have Vulture in there, because he's in the Morbius films. That makes sense. But Rhino could be. I don't know if it would be a new version or it would be Paul Giamatti returning to the role.
Oh my word!
But that could be a possibility.
Tom, any predictions?
I'm gonna throw one out and say Dan DeHaan's Hobgoblin.
Whoa!
That could be.
I've not seen anything about it, but I would love for him to have another shot at that character. I know I know sort of how they handled it wasn't everyone's favourite. No, but I think he's a brilliant actor. I think I'd love to see him sort of come into it and get another shot.
See, that could be interesting, because I think what they're trying to set up with Ned is that he becomes the Hobgoblin, because his character in the comic books eventually becomes that.
Oh, really?
So, who knows? Somebody said, actually, that I saw on Twitter earlier, that it's a wild suggestion, but it might not be Lizard, it could be Venom.
I saw Venom being thrown out as well, but I think having the amount of times I've kind of looked at that shot,
there's a tail behind it.
There's a tail definitely being kind of, and I think someone has kind of lit it as much as they could, and it does look very lizard-like as a, as an outline. But like you've said in the chat with us before, that you don't think that if Lizard's in it, it's not going to be the Rhys Evans Lizard, do you?
No, I, for some reason I feel like if they're going to do the Lizard again, they might go for the Raimiverse one, because they never fully developed that. They always kept teasing it, but they never went the full way with it. So I wonder whether this is the chance they can kind of play with that idea. I don't know, because if they're going to have the Lizard in it, you don't really need the like actual actor there. You can have the voice. No. It could be the voice of, I forget his name, who played him in the Remix show. You could have his voice, or you could have Rhys Evans. It could go either way.
It could. But see, now that you mentioned who I think could be the 6th one, the Vulture is a very, very good shout. But I think you're forgetting that it's very, very, very easy to suggest that Mysterio might not have died at the end of Far From Home.
That's true.
And I think he could make a reappearance as the one who has orchestrated this big kind of anti-Spider-Man
That
movement.
would be cool if it's like a dual movie kind of arc with Mysterio, like unintentionally, where he's somehow orchestrated this.
See, because that could be, because obviously someone's going to bring these together. So I think whoever that is not being teased or revealed just yet.
No.
See, I feel like it's going to be Green Goblin. That's the ringleader. Because Defoe's got that presence.
Yeah, but then you could. There's going to be Well, I mean, the thought of seeing Doc Ock and Green Goblin share the screen is so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Like those two, the actors themselves are legendary anyway, but those two characters are up there with some of superhero cinema's best ever villains. Defoe's Goblin is just like super iconic, and Alfred Molina's Doc Ock was the most, I would say, kind of most well written character villain we've seen. Probably up to like Vulture, that kind of level, where he had that personal touch to it that we haven't really seen in too many Marvel villains up to this point. So to see those two together is going to be something special.
I feel like if Venom's not in the film, I'm going to make an early call, and it could be wrong, but I feel like after credits scene, because if the universe is going to be ripped apart, this is the time for Tom Hardy to finally fulfill his wish of fighting Tom Holland.
I think that's definitely going to happen. That in my mind, that's Spider-Man 4. Whatever this, however this film plays out, Spider-Man vs. Venom is going to be the next Spider-Man after this one. But that is many years away.
Because they're doing Secret Invasion as well, and they could do like the symbiote being found on another planet like it is in the comic books. There's so much stuff they could do.
Isn't that just the film Life?
yeah. With Jake Gyllenhaal,
which we all thought was a Venom movie before it came out.
Yeah.
But imagine if Venom does rock up, but it's Topher Grace.
Oh my days. I mean, I stand by that Topher Grace wasn't that bad as Venom, as Eddie Brock in that film. I think his character was just treated really badly. I think Sam Raimi clearly didn't want to use Venom in this film. He had different plans for it.
Oh no, he didn't. He'd gone on record and said that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of places for this film to go. And I can't wait.
It could be someone completely different that we'd never guess.
It could be.
Just have to
and that's the thing that I think Marvel or John Watts and the Kevin Feige and that have got to be careful of now. Now that we've seen this one trailer, they should not reveal more things in future trailers. They've got to try and keep some things hidden for the actual cinema screen, because I can't imagine the hype when you first see Tobey Maguire rock up on screen. If you find that out before that he is definitely in it, that will take away from the moment of having these three Spider-Men back all together. They should keep things secret now as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, I don't trust Marvel to do that though. I know it's just with how their marketing's been before, like especially with like Civil War when they revealed Spider-Man, like that shot of him, grabbing the shield and saying, "Hey everyone," like that would have been so good just as witness for the first time in the cinema.
Yeah.
But they put it in that trailer.
They did.
I mean, it was still
It was
like,
still a great moment.
Really
It was still a great scene.
But it does take away from that surprise that we've really elevated it in the cinema.
Well, it's a good point that Tom, because like Sony with their marketing with the past Spider-Man films, like when the Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, can you not remember that big trailer where it had the entire plot of the film in it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Everything was there.
Yeah, and this is it, and it's Marvel and Sony into it, so it's...
I don't know, I feel like this trailer was quite reserved, though, to say it's them two working together now, these two companies.
Yeah.
Well, but for a teaser, it was what?
3 minutes long.
3 minutes for a teaser, which is in itself...
I still feel like we've only seen, like, the early parts of the film.
I said this to you when they first came out. I felt like it revealed too much, but then we don't know really. We know that the open multiverse, and we know that Doc Ock arrives and stuff, but that's really it. That we don't know any specifics apart from that.
I feel like the trailer is the first act. I feel like that's what it is. It's just a very condensed version of it.
I don't know if it's the first act. My theory of how it's going to play out is, I think the first act is going to be the court case element of it, because I think maybe kind of he goes to see Strange, maybe just before they actually go to court after they've been interrogated by the police, and he's like, I want to fix this before we goes to court, and that's kind of what kicks off, the multiverse in Act 2. That's what I think, but obviously this is purely guesswork at this point.
I'm just going back to, you just reminded me, just going back to sort of the villains talk. You just reminded me saying about the courtroom and Matt Murdock, but it's heavily rumored that Kingpin, D'Onofrio's Kingpin, is gonna turn up in the MCU. Can you imagine if that was him?
Tom.
Oh my god.
We've already got this rumor as well that he's in the Hawkeye show as well.
Yes, we have. Yeah, I think that's what I think of just now with the Kingpin thing.
And when's that out? November?
That's November,
Yes.
which is before
Spider-Man.
Before.
Oh,
Yes. So he could be
Oh my god.
making plans.
This could be the most like comic book film ever.
God.
More than Endgame.
You've got me
was,
thinking, like,
potentially.
what if the Hawkeye show, like the timeline it's in, what if right at the end of that series is when Spider-Man gets outed as Peter Parker, and then we have Kingpin and Matt Murdock and everybody back into the timeline. That's what could happen.
It needs to be December.
It needs to be. Like,
Because-
there's so many things to happen between now and December, but I'm already wishing away all the months until then because this wait is going to be painful.
But then even if you think like, yeah, we're going to open up the multiverse for here, but then we've still got Doctor Strange's seek, like the multiverse of madness, which is going to go even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's blowing my brain just.
That's
thinking about
that's
it.
like another podcast entirely. But Doctor Strange, I feel like there will be some big callbacks to other superhero films in there. I'm thinking like X-Men.
X-Men, yeah.
I'm thinking that's going to play a part.
That's the thing with like this year, from now until December, it is going to be madness. So obviously, right now, What If is happening every week on Disney Plus. Shang-Chi is out at time of recording with it in 2 weeks, like on September 3rd. Then you've got there's another Marvel show potentially between now and then. But if not that, then you've got Eternals in November alongside Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Spider-Man. Like, we're going to be fine. We've got Marvel stuff to take us all the way
Don't
to
forget,
Spider-Man.
we've got Venom Let There Be Carnage in October 15th.
Venom's coming out as well. That's a good point. And then you've also got other films, another franchise that exist, like, for example, Dune. But, that's by the by. Oh,
June
God.
doesn't have Spider-Man, so
Indie film.
Denis Villeneuve really fucked up on that one.
God alive.
But I love one thing I've loved about this as well is that obviously watching WandaVision and Loki and everyone's like, oh, Doctor Strange is going to come in and fix all this and he's so done with their shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then even then he's gone and blown up the multiverse.
Yeah.
It's down to him. But then
I think-
obviously...
Oh, yeah, and we need to briefly mention, but one kind of last thing. Are you aware of the WandaVision Easter egg that's been discovered yesterday?
The calendar.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
seen that.
in WandaVision, in the first episode, I think it is, they talk about what date today is, and it's their anniversary, which is the 23rd of August, and that was the date that the Spider-Man trailer came out yesterday. And I think people are now discussing whether, because the moment in Loki when He Who Remains feels the change in the multi or in the timeline,
Mm-hmm.
that people are thinking that all of these moments, whether it's Wanda becoming Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange opening the multiverse for Peter, and what was the third one? Or was it just those two? I can't remember. But those two moments happen simultaneously, and kind of that's what He Who Remains was experiencing when they passed the threshold of time, whatever it is. But whether they've thought that far ahead, because that's 8 months ahead of planning. But I mean, it's Marvel; they've done this before.
There's so much. There's so much. Like
There is.
Like before we wrap up, I didn't even mention like if time gets wiped and stuff, like what happens to the Avengers because nobody knows who Spider-Man is. What happened?
I know. This film is getting bigger and bigger
The more you
by
think
the
about
day.
it.
Like we knew it was going to be big anyway, but it just feels like it's now taking on this severe Avengers level event.
Mm-hmm.
And it's around Christmas, which is the best time to release a film ever.
True. Are we saying this now? Is Spider-Man No Way Home a Christmas movie? Because there is winter scenes in it.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I just before the podcast, I jumped back into Miles Morales, and just swinging around New York in the snow is just so nice. And because I played it at Christmas time when it first came out, I was like, oh, I'm just getting in so much Christmas vibes from Spider-Man right now. I'm just loving it.
That's a point on that with this multiverse stuff now. do you think we could get a Miles tease?
Someone said, and this could just be like a silly rumor. Somebody said the woman in the car in the trailer could be related to Miles Morales.
Could be Miles's mum or something.
Because if we think to just Miles's mum, she's obviously like a politician and whatnot, and they heavily play on that in the game. She's sat in the back of what looks like a town car on that bridge.
Oh God,
that's a possibility.
It is. Oh, there's gonna be so much. You're gonna hear about Spider-Man theories and rumors for the next 3 months of our life.
Well, we've had it for the past 2-3 years, so I think another 4 months.
I mean, the seeds are there because we had Donald Glover as his uncle in Homecoming. We've had the tease.
Yep.
And I mean, like, Marvel know that that's a character people are gonna love.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had, his comic run has been really popular. The game.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Amazing. Into the Spider-Verse, yeah. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before the live-action version of Miles makes an appearance. And this probably, I wouldn't say is the best, because I know it might be like a little introduction of him to say, right, he does exist, and that could be sort of like a stinger at the end, is like something to tease, like Miles is gearing up or something. But yeah, it's not going to be far away, I don't think.
They can take this story anywhere they want to, I think. But yeah, I think we need to wrap it up there because we could go on for an hour and a half, very, very simply.
Yeah, let's start a YouTube series. It's 20 minutes long, and then we're at 50 minutes in.
Exactly. I think everyone I've done has been more than the allotted time. I do apologise, Tom. I know this is your...
No. Well, there's just so much to talk about.
There is. And that's the thing as well. We've been on this for 47 minutes now, and we are talking about a 3-minute trailer.
A 3-minute teaser trailer.
A 3-minute teaser trailer has encouraged nearly an hour of conversation. Oh my word. Marvel have got us in the palm of their hands, and they have done for years, and they're going to continue to have us in the palm of their hands until they stop doing it anymore, which hopefully is never. But I'm going to leave it there, but I need to go watch the trailer again, I think is what I'm going to do.
I'm going to whack it on the TV.
I want to say a big thank you to Sam for joining me today. Thank you very much, Sam.
A pleasure as always.
As always, mate. And thank you to Tom as well. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much. And I will see you all on the next episode of whatever Jump Chat is going to be. Go and watch the trailer again, and we'll see you on the next one. Farewell.